Now, I said it takes about a week to give a fair critique on the actual album, and J. Cole's The Fall Off has been around that time, so let's get into it. I'm J. Hall, writer, cultural critic, lover of waffles, and if your brunch spot got waffles and no syrup, it's not really a brunch spot. J. Cole dropped The Fall Off. It's a 2-disc album. Now, we know CDs don't exist no more, but you get the point. Disc 1 is when he's 29. Disc 2 is when he's age 39. I love that approach. I was already intrigued because when you're those ages, you're at the edge of about to approach a newer decade, and hopefully there's growth there, and I wanted to hear what J. Cole was going to bring. There's 24 songs on this album as a whole, and there's some that actually stick out. The first one for me is 2-6. I love the fact that this is the very first song when the album actually kicks off, because the one thing Cole is going to let you know that he can do is that boy can rhyme. The second one is Safety. It gives me a Tribe Called Quest, People Instinctive type of vibe, and I love the fact that Cole was giving me that. Now, the third one is Bounce Roll. I love what this album or that song actually represent, because it represents that J. Cole is actually best when he's doing collaborative work. Tim, she bring her own spice on this song. And Future, even though he sounds like the Drunk 5 heartbeat in the parking lot, he brings magic to this record as well. Now, with 24 tracks, there's some tracks that J. Cole could have really left at home. The first one that comes to mind is Life Sentence. I don't want to hear Jermaine rapping like Earl. Matter of fact, the only individual I want to hear rapping like X is DMX himself. God rest that brother's soul. Now, the second one that he could have left at home is I Love Her Again. I get it. It's an excellent contribution to I Used to Love Her by Common. It's a good rendition. He's picking up where Common left off. But I'm really exhausted when it comes to hip-hop love letters of artists always talking about using the metaphor of when they fell out of love with hip-hop is because the woman who is the metaphor they're using is a whore. She slutted out. J. Cole is on this song rapping about how he don't like BBLs and how he doesn't like OnlyFans. Yet you got YNs out here shooting up the club, and I don't hear you saying that's why you don't like hip hop no more. The third one he could have really left at home is What If. Yo, he's rapping like Big and Pac, and he's talking about their perspective if they just would have had a conversation. It takes some slickness to rap like B.I.G. It takes some charisma to rap like Pac. But this song sticks out when you listen to the entire album that's supposed to be about you and your introspective journey and your growth. It doesn't necessarily make sense. It's a sore thumb that I don't want. I would have loved the idea of Cole rapping about when he first got the news of Big and Pac's death and how he felt within that moment on disc 1, for an example, right? However, that's not the approach that he's taking on this, and we're left with this. Now, I've said this before and I said it again. When it comes to double albums, every artist that try to shoot for a double album, they miss. It doesn't take away from their legacy. I mentioned Jay, Nas, Bone Thugs and Harmony in the past, and I mentioned Big, Pac, and Outkast, who did good in the past also as well. And J. Cole, he's on the side of it's just okay. It's 24 songs. It sounds a little bit redundant. And Cole, unfortunately, kind of validates some of the criticism of his songs being a little boring only because of the repetitive theme it feels when you listen to this actual work. I couldn't even really tell the difference between disc 1 and disc 2 when it slid into it. I'm supposed to hear a grand difference. At least I expect I was supposed to, but I did not. Now, with Cole being part of the big three, one thing I won't take away from him is that boy loved rapping. But when I hear the fall off, I hear a majority of Cole's production. I hear the fact that he is always in this space where I would love to have heard him on somebody else's production track. Yeah, he got a track on there, or I think, or two with Alchemist, but majority of it is J. Cole-ish, and he kind of fell into that. You take 24 songs and you make them 18, you might be talking about a masterpiece. You take 18, you talking about 12, you can make an argument it's a classic. And that's with songs like The Villas, where he redos Mobb Deep, or Poor Thing, where he going off on somebody back in Fayetteville, North Carolina, who got kids that are going to school like, this is my dad. What makes the big three of who they are is because out of the 15 years, ever since they've been given that name, they've all held our attention. And Cole, the one thing I love about him is that boy is a rapper's rapper. He loves putting pen to paper. It just sounds as if he's fell out of love with the industry, or he fell out of love with the culture, and he no longer wants to be here anymore. I totally understand that. But you have hyped us when it comes to this album for 2 years. The impact it has is more of a now. It doesn't necessarily have the lasting impact of the offseason or a classic like Forest Hill Drive. It has the impact of this is what we're going to be listening to for the remainder of this year. And you're going to leave us on that note. It's a good note to leave, but good is not good enough when you're someone as great as AJ Cole.